On today's Locked On Thunder podcast, what have we learned at Summer League? Plus, your mailbag questions.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, media member, and Inside the Thunder beat writer, SI Thunder beat writer, Rylan Stiles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at LO ThunderPod. Email the show, LOThunderPod@gmail.com. On today's show, we're diving into the Oklahoma City Thunder Summer League action as they transition to Vegas. What have we learned? Plus, we're going to dive into your mailbag questions. So a lot to get to today, brought to you by FanDuel. Go check them out today because you can make every moment more with FanDuel at FanDuel.com/lockedon right now to get started. Well, here it is. Summer League is in full swing. What does it truly mean? Not much in general, but especially not much with this current roster. I think that on Saturday, kind of perfectly encapsulated Summer League of this is a roster that without Ousmane Dieng, without a plethora of meaningful young players, that you watch individual performances and you move on. And the Thunder were boat race 94-69 in this game. It was not a nice game from OKC as they started out just dreadfully, 10-1 run by the Raptors, and they got up by 25 points. So the Raptors were on it from the get-go. The Thunder made a little bit of a run. They got within single digits, but ultimately fall 94-69. When you look at this team, honestly, the players that matter are Adam Flagler on a two-way contract, Ajay Mitchell on a two-way contract, Dillon Jones on a standard NBA contract. You can watch for Keontae Johnson, who's a free agent right now and had a really good G League season. I like watching Kyler Kelly because I think that he can be very valuable for the Blue. But past that, I'm not going to sit here and try to sell you on the NBA outlooks of Cormac Ryan, the NBA outlook of Miller Kopp. These guys can have fine G League careers. They can have fine careers in other realms of professional basketball. But it's not necessarily going to translate to anything that the majority of you care about, which is the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder got blown out, but Adam Flagler was awesome. Adam Flagler went 6 for 7 from beyond the arc, scoring 23 points. He was really, really fun offensively. Now, Dillon Jones and Ajay Mitchell, I think individually played well. The box score plus minus and the result might not lead you to believe that, but given the circumstances, given who they were surrounded by, they played really well. I mean, they were asked to do everything. It was literally just those two guys trying to create, trying to initiate the offense and all that stuff with Flagler's three-point shooting. So there wasn't much that trio could do in terms of netting a win. Keontae 0 for 4, only played 19 minutes. The reason I think that Kyler Kelly could matter is not at all for the Thunder or for that open roster spot or anything else. I think that he could matter in the sense of you've seen him play really well in the G League. He helped the Celtics get to the G League finals. And with what you're trying to develop, who are you trying to invest in the G League this year? You're trying to invest in Ajay Mitchell. You want to invest in Adam Flagler. You want to invest however often that Dillon Jones goes down there. You want to invest in him. What can they all benefit from? A screen-setting big who makes life easier and helps you get separation. So him and KJ Williams, getting that familiarity, getting that opportunity to play with them, I think that can translate. That can be something that you build on for next year, which, again, I know that nobody cares about the Blues win-loss record, and luckily for the Blue, they won the finals last year, but it does matter in the sense of making the developmental aspect of their system easier. So those two guys then move to the forefront more so than they otherwise typically would. But the bottom line is, this is what Summer League is. the Thunder fans were spoiled a little bit with their last, most recent summer league where you had a huge draft class that was more than 2 players, where you had plenty of returners and you had these kind of popping situations. That's not the case with this year's team. You have 3 guys that you really look at, 3.5, depending on what you want to classify Keontae and classify Kyler Kelly as. I think that Keontae, I think that he has NBA stuff. I think that you saw a G League season from him that was very, very, very high quality. He still remains a free agent right now on July 14th in the year of our Lord 2024. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But ultimately, I can't sit here and act like this stuff is going to be groundbreaking. I think that you've gotten out of it what you want to see. You got 3 games of Ousmane Dieng, which is like the typical game allotment for a third-year guy. Last year, Trey Mann played 4. A little bit of a special circumstance last year with that team, that was with all who was on that team last year. But typically, 3 or 4 games, that's all you really see, and you get those data points, and you just kind of let them run up the floor a little bit and play. The end scenario is we've seen, Oos play plenty against, G League level competition and, Summer League level competition. It would have been way more enjoyable from a selfish standpoint of seeing, a guy like Oos who you can really dissect and pick apart in this game versus we're not going to pick apart Cormac Ryan's 4 shots on this pod. We're just not going to do that. I'm a sicko. I am someone who does cover the G League. I'm not going to sit here and act like we're going to break down the 0 for 4 night from Cormac Ryan. So it would have given you another name to watch, but overall doesn't change much of the outlook. This is just how Summer League operates whenever you're an actual good contending team. Because you still have guys that you want to watch. You want to see Dillon Jones play. You want to see Ajay Mitchell play. If Topic was healthy, you would have had Topic as well, which would have been awesome, because he could have made some highlight pick and roll plays in Summer League. But at the end of the day, Summer League is just no longer the thing for Oklahoma City. It feels like everything's pretty solidified, and it's solidified with guys that are, not going to be playing in a Summer League circuit. Hami Jaquez got a game of Summer League. He dropped 30 points. I would be stunned if you saw him tonight in the Cox Pavilion against Oklahoma City. Typically these things just happen, right? These guys don't play in Summer League. So at the end of the day, we have a loaded week of Locked On Thunder, because we are not going to dissect each and every Summer League game. We are going to, at the end of it all, on Monday, for a week from today, we're going to have a podcast where we grade every single player on the Summer League roster, and then we'll move on from Summer League entirely. But this week, we have a loaded week. We have this pod today, which is your mailbag pod. We have Brandon Rebar tomorrow talking about the Thunder, talking about what the new look group is, plus some Summer League coverage. We also have Wednesday, Keenan Womack Draft Digest, talking draft, recapping the 24 class and previewing the 25 class. We have Richard Stamen on Friday discussing the favorites out west from an NBA standpoint with the new draft picks with the offseason. And we have Michael Martin on Thursday, where we're going to discuss the new additions and what that changes in terms of expectations. So a ton of great guests, a ton of great pods. It's just that the Summer League is not going to be where we juice a lot of that out of. But we'll talk with Brendan Rebar about Summer League more tomorrow. But now let's get into your mailbag questions, all coming up. But first, once right now, but good friends over at FanDuel. Check out FanDuel by going to FanDuel.com right now to get started. Because, while we know that, sports aren't sportsing as much as they used to, as much as we love sports, we never want to see them stop. But as the playoffs end, it's time to see fewer and fewer games in sports right now. But FanDuel, it keeps you going. It keeps the sports going whenever I want. And that's all you want whenever you open up the app and team up and dream up with FanDuel to have all these great bets and keep you in a good mood when you're looking at sports. Check it out today at FanDuel.com/lockedon and FanDuel.com in general, because all customers right now can receive that bonus, can receive that boost daily in the summertime. So if you're a big NBA fan and you want to make these games more interesting, we just talked about how the Thunder might not have a ton of interesting names on the court right now. If you want to make it more interesting yourself, check out the Thunder +6 against Miami tomorrow in their game against Miami in Summer League. You can also bet on the Home Run Derby and MLB All-Star Game. And of course, whenever the MLB picks back up, you can bet on that as well. But you can also bet on the next season for the NBA. Who will win the NBA Finals? The Celtics have the best odds right now, but who's right behind them? The Oklahoma City Thunder. Check it out today at FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel.com/lockedon. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you talking Thunder basketball. Well, let's talk about your mailbag questions as we discuss Thunder basketball right here. Make sure you also check out Locked On Sooners as the Oklahoma Sooners head to SEC Media Day for the first time. They've got boots on the ground coverage over there for Locked On Sooners. You're going to want to check it out and see what's happening with OU. If you're an OSU fan, you also have Locked On Pokes and, of course, any other college that you support, plus any NBA team, any NFL team, any MLB team, and our national selection, which is headlined by Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel right now. You can find it on YouTube and also on the Amazon Fire TV channels app as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It has the biggest stories with our local experts covering it all on Locked On Sports Today. So let's get into the first question from Ed. In your opinion, how has the Thunder done in addressing team needs and reshaping its roster, and what else should be done? I think that this offseason has been a resounding success for Oklahoma City. When you look at what they've done and what they've accomplished, with especially the lens of what it's taken to do those things. So you had a hole in your starting five. Like, yes, the starting five technically last year, +8 points, +8 and then net points and all that good stuff. Like they were a good starting five statistically. But whenever you watch them, the way that they had to work for that success and kind of work against disadvantages, you've swapped out that poor fit for Alex Caruso in a 1-for-1 swap, who is fantastic across the board. He perfectly can switch 1 through 4 and play your switchable style and play in your system where you want to see guys scale up defensively. He knocks down 40% of shots from 3 on the offensive end. He also adds some playmaking chops and some real good feel for the game stuff on cuts and everything else. So, like, the bottom line is, I think that Josh Giddey will have a fantastic career in the NBA and he'll go on to have success. I think, especially in Chicago with Billy Donovan, that was never going to happen in Oklahoma City. Whereas Alex Caruso sees his, play style be elevated in OKC. So it's kind of a perfect swap. So it was a 1-for-1 swap. You did not have to do anything other than, hey, we got this guy who I think if you would have said the day after the Mavericks series ended, this is disappointing, but you're going to add Caruso to the starting five, people would have been overjoyed. So huge check mark there. Then you go to the draft and you get Topic at 12, who's going to be out this whole season, but is viewed as the best player available, viewed as a top 5, talent in this draft when healthy, who can either offer you a top 5 talent in that class or offer you a really nice, sweetener in any sort of package later on if you choose to go that route. Like, he gives you and keeps such flexibility open to maximize the value of that 12th pick. I think that was a smart move, looking at it and looking at how the offseason unfolded. You also picked up Dillon Jones and Ajay Mitchell, who have impressed so far in Summer League. But the most important part is you go to free agency and you have the perfect storm unfold. The Thunder needed size, but the problem was, like, you couldn't just say, well, go get Andre Drummond, right? Like, you couldn't just say, go get this humongous big man because the Thunder needed size. They needed functional size. And who's on the market other than Isaiah Hartenstein, who is the perfect big man for this team? Of course, he does not shoot the 3 ball at a high clip. And he's 26. Maybe he can grow that. But let's just assume he's never going to grow that 3-point game to being a meaningful part of his game. He is still the perfect big man for OKC. He's not going to be exposed entirely on an island whenever he gets switched out there. He's going to be great defensively to give you an opportunity now to cover all 48 minutes with rim protection. Whereas last year, you could only protect the rim if Chet was in there. Now you can protect it the entire game. Offensively, his playmaking and his screen setting really makes life easier for you. And so the Thunder, what they've done is they've created a championship roster. After this offseason, the Thunder have all the ingredients to win a championship. And that's why the Thunder are the top Western Conference favorites to win the title. Because all that's left now, the missing step, what you're waiting on before you have that championship meal, is you're waiting on Shai, J-Dub, and Chet to be playoff level players and to be players who can go win a title. Well, Shai's already there. You've seen what Shai just did to the Mavericks in that series. Like, Shai's there. Shai is a 16-game player. He is an NBA champion level player. Now you're betting that Chet and J-Dub can get there as well. And what you've set yourself up for is whenever those guys do reach that mark, whether it's this season or next season or the year after that, you've prepared yourself for that opportunity. You're not going to have to wait around and say, okay, well, can they get there? And then they get there, and then you're scrambling and saying, well, what do we do now? You've done everything. You've laid it all out. You've given them a championship core around them for whenever they're ready. And you're hoping that they're ready right now. You're hoping that they're ready in April. But whenever they're ready, you're now prepared. Whereas most of the time, teams kind of wait around and say, well, are they ever going to become the guy? Are they ever going to become the guy that can win you a championship? The Thunder have gone out there and they have made this roster into a championship level one. And now they're just waiting on their top three, which I think is a great bet, because I do believe that Chet and J-Dub will become those kind of players at the very top. And now you've gotten the support around them. At Gottfried, is Las Vegas a big meh for anyone else? I just feel bad watching Jones and Mitchell try to compete with this group. I mean, yeah, like this in the grand scheme of things does not matter. I think that you have to look at it through the lens of individuals. So, like, if they continue to play Dillon Jones and Ajay Mitchell, which again, those guys are napped to 4 games, so we're kind of counting on the clock here on a typical rhythm of the summer league. But those guys are getting meaningful reps because they're coming from a mid-major where, and a college rank where you weren't playing, guys who were on the precipice of the NBA, right? You weren't playing guys who have the opportunity to have a very good professional career. And you don't play that top to bottom in Division I either, like, high major basketball Division I. But, especially at mid-majors, like, you're going to see some competition where, like, these guys just are well overmatched. Whereas, like, right here, yeah, it's not the cream of the crop. It's not the best the NBA has to offer. But the speed of the game's different. The pace of the game's different. And all these guys, at the very minimum, are good enough to be high-level G League players and good G League players, to where that's a step up still for Jones and Mitchell specifically, that I think that you want to get a look at in this environment. So you want to see how they do. They've handled it very well. They've looked incredible. Like, that's the value for them. The value is not competing. The value is not trying to win the summer league ring. It's just seeing what those guys look like. The OKC Thunder fan life says, how do you see Nikola Topic fitting in with Mark's rotation? Obviously, he's out this season, but I think that next season, there's 2 things that I'm very interested in. Number one, having just experienced what they did for Chet Holmgren with his rehab and maximizing it both in terms of his health and because he was able to play all 82 games last year. Like, that is still just awesome to see. We went from last August questioning, can he play back-to-backs? Can he play 3 games in 4 nights? Like what does it look like for Chet? To he played all 82, and not just all 82. He played the preseason. He played 82. He played all the postseason. Like, he played a fully healthy, high usage in that opportunity. Like the demanding minutes that he played was very high. So I think that, like, seeing how they maximize his physical health was awesome. Seeing how they had him ready to play was awesome. And you see that he's Topic, I'm speaking of now, is coming from a situation where, yeah, he's only 18 years old right now, and he's still going to be young when he steps on the floor. But when you blend in the fact that he's already played for a professional league, like, he's already played against grown men, he gets a whole year to observe how this league moves and how this league tracks and what everything looks like up close and personal with this league, plus another year to grow his game in any way that you can while being hurt. I'm very fascinated to see what that looks like on the other side, because this was already a top 5 prospect for most people pre-injury. What does that look like on the other side with all those other factors? And then another thing I'm interested in about this whole thing is that, like, I think that people go to Topic and, like, scream Giddy, and then they think back to, like, the fit around Josh Giddey and this team was clunky. Why would you sign up for another clunky fit? I think it was clunky because of like how the chain of events unfolded. Where like he was the first guy in. He was the 6th overall pick. He had a 218 game starting streak. Like he had all this stuff, and the team grew apart from him. Whereas Topic is now coming into a train already moving. He's coming into a team where, you know, the role will be defined, the expectation will be defined, and, you know, frankly, there'll be no expectation, right? There'll be no expectation of like starting or anything else like that. Whereas with Giddy, you saw every year of his career that you were changing things, right? Like the expectations of the team changed very quickly. The personnel in the teams changed every year. The talent of the team changed every single year. The role changed every single year. We're like, this thing started as like, can Josh and Shea coexist? Who's the point guard? Is Josh the point guard? Then it went into Josh isn't even the third guy you want with the ball. So like, you look at Josh's situation, and at times like the on the court stuff can get a little messy and like judged a little harshly. Of he did have to deal with a lot at 21 years old, of like a lot changing from under him. Whereas Topic will now enter with that talent as a vastly different environment, of like a more stable environment for his development. So those two things make me interested. If I had to guess what will happen next year, I think that you see the Thunder kind of run with him as their initiator of the second unit, an initiator of that offense. Especially now that we've seen the move since then. And this is why I cautioned a lot of people on draft night not to just rush out and judge this pick yet. Because like now, if you believe like I do, the Thunder will start, you know, Shea, Caruso, Dort, Dub, Chet. Now that secondary unit features Topic and Hartenstein pick and rolls. Oh, things are humming now. Like things are a lot different now than it looked on draft night. So I would imagine that he'll be in the rotation, you know, his rookie season, which won't be this coming year, it'll be the year after. And you'll hope that he can, you know, handle those playmaking duties almost as an insurance of like, yeah, we think that Kaysen can take that step as an on-ball player. I still believe that. But all your eggs are not in the singular basket anymore. So that's kind of what I think about Topic as a player and like what it will look like next year. But coming up, we'll get into more of your questions. But first, I want to say right now about our good friends over at eBay Motors. Check out eBay Motors, because passion, drive, and patience, that's the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors, it guarantees you everything you need right now to maintain your vehicle and level up to peak performances, superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed or power or style, eBay Motors has you covered. Over 122 million parts to choose from. Your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for with eBay Motors Guaranteed Fit. It's guaranteed to fit your part and your ride the first time, every time, or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you'll be burning rubber, not cash. With all this in mind, check out eBay Motors to keep your car riding like the MVP and bring home a huge win. So keep your ride or die alive at eBay Motors. Go there right now to ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Motors Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your teams every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you, talking Thunder basketball. Let's dive into more of your mailbag questions. So let's dive into this one from Dillon. I meant to say this one for one of the end ones, but this is one of the end ones. So Dillon says, if you're doing a karaoke night and you need to choose a partner to sing with, and your options are Sam Presti, Jay Will, Kevin Durant, and Andrew Schlecht, what a night. Who are you choosing and why? With much respect to Kevin Durant, he's off the list, frankly, because I've got little faith in his karaoke skills. Jay Will, I think, would be a fantastic vibe, but again, little faith in his willingness to actually perform versus laugh went up on stage, so he's also gone. The next two, Sam Presti and Andrew Schlecht. Sam, wonderful drummer. He has published, music, but so does Andrew Schlecht. Andrew Schlecht used to lead up a screamo band, folks. Cat's out the bag. Sorry, I mean, I that was behind a paywall at one time on the OKC Dream Team, which you can go check out. But yeah, I mean, Andrew Schlecht, like this guy is a genuine musician. Not to say that Sam Presti isn't, but me and Andrew, like in the bowels of Paycom Center, we've jammed a little bit. We actually jammed again behind a paywall, Patreon folks, not the other one, about, blue balls. OKC blue ball. And that was, I did not realize the title of that track before I made that previous joke. I should have really thought that one through. But I'm going to go with Andrew Schlecht. Again, all due respect to Sam Presti, but my style on stage, I don't need a drummer, right? I mean, maybe during Christmas time, you get a little bit of that eggnog and you start playing Little Drummer Boy, maybe, but like, I don't really foresee a situation where I need a drummer. And Andrew, I just can't turn my back on Andrew. We've already made music together. I feel a connection in terms of musically and personally. He's a great guy. So Andrew, for sure. From Ozzy, OKC fan. I'm a little worried about the Thunder offensively. Removing Giddy takes away a lot of playmaking. Do you share those same concerns? I don't. Not because of Josh Giddey, but because of the role he was in. The whole problem with Josh Giddey, like the reason that we all believe that this is a mutually beneficial move of Josh getting to spread his wings and like perform in Chicago and the Thunder getting Alex Caruso is because the Thunder could not tap into that playmaking enough. Like they could not get him on ball enough. They could not put him in that role enough to be a bona fide playmaker. Now, I'm just supremely curious to see who takes on the role of the sideline and bounce plays and the baseline plays and like who triggers those. But past that element of his playmaking, he didn't get to do a whole ton of it in the sense of like, it's easily replicatable by Alex Caruso. Like he had some highlight plays. They're few and far between not because of him, but because of the Thunder. So in the role that he was tasked to play with OKC, can you recreate that playmaking boost in the aggregate? I think that you can. I think that like that was part of the issue with his fit in OKC of like, even with him on the team, you felt like the team needed another table setter because he just was not put in that role enough. And so I think that, again, not to besmirch Josh Giddey, it's just a matter of like, we can't sit here and say the whole season like he's not a playmaker, not on ball enough, he's not put in the right role, and then say, well, they're going to be supremely missing his playmaking. I don't think that'll be the case at the end of the day. I would say like his rebounding motor, although it's inconsistent, and although it was inconsistent effort on the glass, like when he was on as a rebounder, that really helped that starting lineup. Is there anyone who can recreate that in the starting five? If it is Caruso for Giddy, you have more questions there than you do about recreating his playmaking with that group. The last question from Isaiah. Are you going to play college football 25? If so, what school are you going to rebuild? Yes. As a matter of fact, I am. And that's why before 3 p.m. Monday, we'll have recorded 5 shows already. Because, yes, these are all great guests, and these pods will be fantastic. I also want to get ahead a little bit to rebuild college football 25. I'm going to be in a lot of dynasties. My personal offline dynasty will be with Kansas, who in the time from the last game with David Beatty to this team, they got a heck of a lot better where they don't really need me all that much. They just kind of need that extra little sprinkle to get over the hump. Really just need Jalen Daniels to stay healthy and then we'll be over the hump. But still, I'll use Kansas. I'm also going to have a dynasty with Tennessee. I have to. In terms of a deep cut, if they put those new FIU uniforms in the game, the Miami Vice ones, I'll be checking out some FIU Panthers. I do have a records dynasty online with some of my friends, so that's kind of a deep cut to kind of figure out how to get them over the edge. But my personal, my own personal dynasty, it'll be Kansas. But I am really interested to see kind of how this game takes shape. And so we're going to have a lot of fun guests to allow me some time to play it, which is a little embarrassing to admit, but hey, we've put it out there. The guests are great. We've already recorded some pods. Keenan Allen on Wednesday is going to be awesome. Brendan Rabar tomorrow will be fantastic as always. Michael Martin, Richard Stamen to end the week. It's going to be a fun week of shows. I really appreciate all of you. You can follow me on Twitter at Ryland_Styles. Follow the show on Twitter at LO Thunderpod. Again, check out Locked On Sooners out there in Dallas for SEC Media Days with the Locked On Podcast Network. We have every single one of your teams every single day. Go check them out today. And until next time, be good and be good to one another.